Well, of course, you have seen all the emails that I sent out, and you know that Dr. Stavros is a therapist and psychologist, so you probably think after all the emails that went out, I probably need some therapy. So, George, we may need to have to do a session after the lecture tonight, but it's so great to see everybody here. I just asked a couple of quick things. If you could turn off, your cell phones and iPods and all of that stuff. Let's try to really decompress a little bit here and focus on the message. And, that's what our society is doing, and distracting us and messaging us. Let's, if we can, take a little time, a little break from that. Dr. Stavros is the executive director of the Danielson Institute at Boston University. His teaching and research interests are in psychotherapy training, and religion and spirituality in clinical practice. He is a licensed psychologist and holds a Master of Divinity from Holy Cross Greek Orthodox School of Theology. He and his wife Despina are parents of 4 beautiful daughters. It's my joy and honor to welcome Dr. George Stavros with us this evening.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay? Excellent. Okay, well, good evening. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you tonight. So this is my second time presenting here at St. Constantine in Helen. The first time, one of the stories that I shared was how Father Chris, when we were seminary housemates, he opened up to me a whole new world of fasting when he introduced me to the Fluffernutter sandwich. And I still thank him for that. I'm going to share another story from seminary. So we were housemates, and the semester that we were housemates was the semester before I was going to get married to my wife, Despina. And so Father Chris and another friend of ours looked at me and they said, "Man, we got to get you in shape for this thing." And so they set up a weight room in the basement. And every other day they'd take me down there and they'd say, "Hey, you're getting married. You got to hit the weights." And so we did that throughout the time, and then the time for the wedding came, and I got married in Knoxville, Tennessee, at St. George Greek Orthodox Church there. And Father Chris came down for the wedding, and we arranged to have the best Greek Orthodox basketball players in the Smoky Mountain area there to take on our seminarians. And of course, they're thinking, seminarians, right. Well, they didn't know, did they? And I still go down to Tennessee occasionally to visit our family there. And there's a man there who played against us, and it was a good game. And he's now a federal judge. And he still comes up to me and he says, "George, I still don't know how you came down here and beat us with a bunch of seminarians." So I have to thank you for that, too. Good? Still good? Okay. All right, so this evening, I would just like to share a few things and dialogue with you about one of the treasures of our Eastern Orthodox spiritual life, and that is the Jesus Prayer. Something probably that most, if not all of you, have at least heard of. Many of you may use in your prayer life, in your spiritual life. And it's something that's so simple and yet so profound that I think there's never a bad time to talk about the Jesus Prayer. So, in the course of talking about the Jesus Prayer, there are 4 things that I'm going to want you to try to remember about it. and I'll ask you occasionally if you're remembering them as we go, and I'll ask you at the end if you remembered. And it's the 4 R's of the Jesus Prayer. Relationship, repetition, rhythm, and regulation. They'll mean a lot more after I talk about them a little bit. But relationship, and that's first intentionally. Repetition, rhythm, and regulation. Okay, so the story of my relationship with the Jesus Prayer starts, actually, I'm a little ashamed to admit it, after seminary. You'd think I would have learned it more there, but after seminary, I started a PhD program in pastoral psychology at Boston University. My wife and I also started our family at that point. So at that point, my life consisted of days spent working as a mental health counselor at McLean Hospital, evenings taking my coursework, and nights hoping the babies would sleep so that I could get up the next morning and go back to work. And part of that was riding the MBTA bus system to and from Boston University, McLean Hospital, and our home in West Roxbury. And part of our job early in the doctoral program was to be thinking about what kind of research we wanted to do for our dissertation. And I didn't have a clue. All I knew was I was just trying to get through the next day. The last thing I was thinking about was what I was going to do for my dissertation. But because I rode the public transportation so much, I got to do some reading on the bus. And one of the things that I was reading was The Way of a Pilgrim, which is a book about the Jesus Prayer. It's about someone who treks across Russia, learning about and practicing the Jesus Prayer while they read from another classic spirituality text in our tradition, the Philokalia. And I started coming across these statements that were being made by people who practice the Jesus Prayer while I'm slumped against the window in the 47 bus. And they started to stir something in me. So what I thought I would do is I would read you a couple of these passages. They're short, and I'll tell you the effect that they had on me. All right, so here's one. This is a description of one of the pilgrim's descriptions of his practicing the prayer. Heartfelt delight, a flood of inward warmth and light, ineffable enthusiasm, joy, lightness of heart, profound peace, and the very essence of blessedness and happy content are all results of prayer of the heart. So slumped against the window in the 47 bus, I'm thinking, I need a piece of this. This sounds good to me. So I kept reading. Let me give you another description. This is the description given by someone that the pilgrim came across, a woman that the pilgrim came across as he traveled across Russia. She said, I was afraid to travel all by myself. I feared evil people might attack me. But an old woman pilgrim whom I knew taught me, wherever my road took me, always to say the Jesus Prayer, without stopping, and told me for certain that if I did, no misfortune of any sort could happen to me on my way. Powerful statement. And again, riding that 47 bus, oftentimes late at night, I was thinking, I need a piece of this. One more. This again by the pilgrim. The whole outside world also seemed to me full of charm and delight. Everything drew me to love and thank God. People, trees, plants, and animals, I saw them all as my kinsfolk. Okay, so let's just keep those in mind as we go. Let me tell you a little bit now about the prayer, a little bit about the tradition. So, and we're going to work our way towards relationship, which is the first thing. Everything that we do in church life, whether it's sacramental, liturgical, receiving the Eucharist, or baptism, going to confession, receiving holy unction, our relationships with one another, our inner, more contemplative prayer life, they all have one simple purpose, as I understand them, and that is to bring us into deeper, more profound, more intimate, loving connection with our God and Creator. And even though we often complicate these things to a great degree and may not experience them as leading us to the place that our hearts long to go,